Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Only Stupid Answers. This is the show where we answer your questions about movies, TV shows, comic books, box offices, blockbuster box offices. Say that 3 times fast. I'm your host, DJ Woldridge. With me today is Roxy Strand.
Blockbuster box office,
See, it already fell apart. Already fell apart. Roxy, good morning.
Morning, DJ. Did you have the Comic-Con crud?
No, I wear a mask. I wear a mask. I've ever since, and I'm going to be honest with you, and I feel like weirdly people might get mad about this. Once the COVID happened, and I was like, oh, this is a thing I'm going to do now. I'm just going to wear a mask in public. When I go to the gym, I wear a mask. I don't, and it's kind of weird to me that people stopped.
Do you wear a mask during cardio?
Not during cardio, but we're doing weights, and it becomes a little tricky for me on leg day because I do a lot of heavy breathing on leg day.
That's so hard.
But by and large, gym, I'm wearing a mask. Grocery store, I'm wearing a mask. Most public places, I'm wearing a mask. And I'm kind of surprised that so many people just dropped that because it's so... I don't... Immediately, like in America, we're like, I guess we're done with this. And I'm like, yeah, but now I get sick less. Why are we... why?
I could name 15 reasons why, though, DJ. Like, you're a person out in the world who's not, like, looking to maybe meet a lover or new friends, you know, like...
It's fair.
Some of us are out there and can't be just, like, in masks all the time.
Yeah, I guess so.
I still wear a mask. I wear a mask if I'm feeling at all under the weather to protect other people.
Yeah.
And that's about the only time I wear a mask anymore.
Yeah. Different strokes for different folks, as they say.
But you do notice you get sick less. That's awesome. Science
well, especially when I go to flying and conventions.
Yeah, I wear a mask when I fly still, too.
Yeah.
Although I got sick wearing a mask when I flew, so...
Well, obviously it's not.
Yeah.
I mean, the especially the kind of mask we're talking about is not foolproof, but it's especially mostly with flying. It's a good reminder of like, don't touch your. That's what they say. Don't touch your face. If I have the mask on, that becomes less likely to happen.
Yeah.
But hey, we're all doing our best out there. We're all doing what we can. We're all doing what feels right to us. But no, I didn't. The short answer is did not get con crud. Knock on wood.
Good.
It'll be a little late at this point. It'll be a little, but we're going to talk more about conventions and stuff, and superheroes and stuff. That's what we're talking about today. But before we do that, we've got some comments from our previous video. Anybody check that out? Sal and I reviewed Fantastic Four from sunny San Diego, California. And here were some of the comments on that video. The Great Devlin says, I didn't like Vanessa Kirby as Sue. Not because she was bad. She did a crazy job, but I was casting her as other Marvel women instead. She was giving Emma Frost so much. Roxy, what did you think about Vanessa Kirby as Sue Storm in Fantastic Four?
She's great, and I think she is great. And I think it's kind of a funny reason to not like somebody in a role because you dreamcast them in another role.
Mm-hmm.
No offense, and thank you for sharing that with us. But just like that's a you problem for sure.
Yeah. She would make an amazing Emma Frost. I do understand that.
Totally. However, that's not the role she's playing.
Yeah. Yep. I think Vanessa Kirby, and I think Roxy would agree with this, Vanessa Kirby has been good in things for a long time.
Yeah.
And so I guess this isn't really her breakout, but it feels like she's come to more people's attention because of this. And it's like, yes, correct. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it is kind of funny, though, DJ, because people are acting like they've known Vanessa Kirby for a really long time. I'm like, y'all don't know Vanessa Kirby.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you come from the TV world, you don't know Julia Garner, and you don't know Vanessa Kirby.
Yeah.
So maybe a little bit, but get off my hype train. But no, I'm stoked that they are both getting the love that they deserve. And honestly, same thing with Evan Moss-Backrack. If you don't come from the TV world, same thing with Joseph Quinn. If you don't come from the TV world, y'all only be knowing Pedro.
Yeah.
Don't lie.
Great casting.
When it comes to, I'm so gatekeepy when it comes to knowing
these are mine.
Television.
These are my people.
Mine.
It's not like Julia Garner's been in movies like The Assistant where she's fantastic.
Yeah, DJ, that movie that everyone saw.
You're right, but it is a very good movie. It is a very good movie, and I think for Vanessa Kirby, it's more that she's been in big stuff like
Yes.
Mission Impossible and the Fast and Furious spinoff,
She
but she's
has.
been supporting, and
Yeah.
now it's like no, she on the poster. She like one of the main people.
She's so good.
Julia Garner is also good. I still don't like the change to Silver Surfer. But she's a good actress.
That was my fave. I love Silver Surfer in this.
I don't think the movie justified the change. It felt like a kind of arbitrary change, but Julia Garner's good. Lego Monster 21. I loved Fantastic Four. It was fantastic. Honestly, loved it more than Superman. I've been seeing a lot of this, people talking about liking it more than Superman. And I think I understand it in that, this is going to sound mean, and I don't mean it as mean. Comparatively, I think Fantastic Four is a little bit safer. It is a little bit more, it has a lot of that Silver Age kind of vibrance and positivity, but it grounded is not comparatively. It's comparatively more grounded than Superman. Like Superman really goes for it. Like this is what we're doing.
Straightforward.
Yeah, and this is not. I like Fantastic Four. I liked it much more than I anticipated. So this is not a diss on Fantastic Four. I think depending on people's tastes, it is perfectly fine to like one more than the other. It's perfectly fine to like Fantastic Four more than Superman. I totally get it. I just and everybody's gonna have different reasons for that. I just think it doesn't necessarily surprise me because. I just think Fantastic Four is just a little bit. It does its stuff a little bit more grounded than Superman does. Superman really embraces the comic booky stuff, and Fantastic Four is still relatively grounded, despite being an alternate world and still having like all those Silver Age gewgaws
And all the powers.
Although I was a little bummed, they don't really do anything interesting with Reed's powers. It felt like the movie was a little afraid of them. They're like, here,
are we in full spoilers?
Sure. Yeah,
right.
because we did. I know the movie's been out a week and we already did our review of it. So I guess skip ahead if you don't want full spoilers.
Even with how we saw him getting manipulated, you didn't think...
Yeah, because he doesn't do anything. Like if you think about what they do with Elastigirl and like The Incredibles, like and in fact, I have a good example of this in the movie. Technically the post credits, and the second post credit scene is a little like animated intro, and they're like Thing, and it's like a classic animated, like here's the team. Thing is a rock guy. Human Torch is fire. Invisible Woman bends light because she come invisible, and Mr. Fantastic does gadgets. It's like. He's the stretchy guy. You know what I mean? So you can just feel the movie's like, he's mostly the gadget guy. Let's not talk about his stretchy stuff that much.
Well, they do show him as obviously like incredibly smart and gadgets, but in terms of powers, was there something you wanted to see other than him being stretchy?
No. Just using his stretchiness in interesting way, having him do, yeah. And they also make an interesting choice that even when he's not in his super suit, his blue super suit, if he's in a lab coat or a sweater, when he stretches, the clothes stretches with him. I'm like, that's weird. So is every piece of clothing he have, like unstable mall? It just, and I'm sure they probably had versions where his arm stretches, but his sleeve stays the same. And they were like, that looks weird. So just have the clothes stretch with him. It just stood out to me.
I don't think it's beyond the realm of possibility that he designed his clothes to all do that. Considering,
yes.
Yeah. But I do think sometimes things could be easily fixed with just one line. Like,
yeah,
it's annoying every time I stain my shirt because I have to make a completely new version of my stretchy material, whatever. But it sounds to me, and I haven't watched your review, so I know you're saying you liked it, but it sounds to me like you had a lot of qualms with the movie. Is that accurate?
No, I liked it quite a bit, especially since baby stuff, all that stuff. I liked it quite a bit. And especially Roxy, if you recall, the trailers weren't moving the needle for me at all. Right. And so with that in mind, I actually liked it quite a bit. I would probably argue, if people go to my letterbox, you'll know I've split it up into the Infinity Saga and the Multiverse Saga. Fantastic Four is easily one of my favorite movies in the Multiverse Saga. Might be one of my favorite MCU movies. But if you put my feet feet to the fire, I'd still say, well, I like Superman more.
I know we're going to be talking more about box office and stuff, but also I'm using this as my time to catch up with my friend DJ, who I haven't been able to
Yes.
talk to about Fantastic Four. And usually you're the first person I talk to about every comic book movie. So I'm just going to go ahead and ask you a couple additional questions because I
Please.
need to know where you stand.
Yeah.
Did you have a favorite of the four?
I've never related to Reed more than in this movie. And I thought, Reed and Vanessa, Reed and Sue, were so much of the emotional weight of the movie was on their shoulders, and I thought that was interesting because it'd be so easy to build your movie around Thing and Johnny because they're the two most popular ones.
What do you mean by that?
Typically, if you're going to see a Fantastic Four member hanging out outside of Fantastic Four, it's going to be the Human Torch or the Thing. They've had their own.
The most popular? Do you mean like action figure sales, comic book sales? Do you just
comic
mean
book sales? Just people. I guess because they're the more action heavy ones. They tend to they've had their own the Thing and Human Torch comics spin off. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And so it tends to be. You tend to feel more heat towards those characters. So I thought it was interesting that the movie really focused on Reed and Sue, and I was a little worried. I guess I'm still a little worried. I'm a little worried that like Pedro Pascal might get a little look of the Chris Pratt of like he's so hot we start casting him outside of his realm, and I was a little worried about that with Reed, and it's like no, he's great. He did a really good job. So I think for me, I liked Reed a lot. I liked the depiction of Galactus. I think I'm hoping we get a little more. I don't know where or how, but I wouldn't mind a little bit more to that. What about you? Who was your standout?
Johnny.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, the way that you have never connected to Reed more, I've never connected to Johnny more.
Yeah.
Feeling like so underutilized, so much like you have stuff to bring to the team, but nobody notices that. And you have to work like the absolute hardest to try to do things solo dolo.
Yeah.
And like you want to change who you are, like, and not be about your old ways. I feel like there's a lot of subtext about like how he used to date versus now, how he used to be viewed versus now, etc. I just thought that they absolutely nailed Johnny. Or it's not fair to say they nailed Johnny. They nailed a character that I really care about. A little bit different than some Johnnies that we know. So
well, and it's once again, despite let's say the MCU being in a rockier place than it has been in a while, something they have continued to nail. They never stopped nailing. Castings, they do a good job. Like, yeah, this is the Fantastic Four. Yep, I'm excited to see these characters interact with others. And another thing on the Reed point is, I know going into like Infinity War and Endgame, people were like, oh, Tony and Doctor Strange, how are they going to interact? I'm like, they're kind of the same guy. Like, I don't know that I care about that. With Reed, it's like, I actually am interested to see how he would bounce off Strange, because he is a very different personality type than Tony and Strange. And I think instead of like the egomaniac genius thing, I like when he and Sue, and as a new parent, the fight, obviously it's heightened because of the stakes, but like some of the fights with Sue and Reed, I'm like, yeah, when Reed's like, yeah, you're right, man, I don't dream. I'm worried about everything. So I'm I'm trying to think ahead of what problems are. I'm like, yeah, Reed, yeah. But yeah, I liked it a lot. I do have, and this is true of Superman too. I do have some things like the Silver Surfer thing bums me, and I feel bad bringing it up because I feel like I'm going to get lumped in with a lot of like bad faith arguments in that, and that's not really what I'm saying. It's just like, I like Norrin Rad.
I don't think so. DJ, you're a big comic book fan. I don't think anybody's sitting here being like, sexism is why.
Yeah, I just don't. I'm not trying to say, ooh, women bad. I like Norrin Rad, and I'm kind of, and Charlotte Ball's good, and she does cool things in this movie, and Julia Garner's great in everything I've seen her in, and she's great here. but I like Norrin Rad, and I'm kind of bummed I don't think I'm going to get him.
The number one question I wanted to ask you, like right after I saw a screening of this, I was like, oh, I'm so sad I can't talk to DJ about this right now, because this seemed to be, to me, your biggest qualm going into this was when and where it was taking place. You seem to not want a 60s movie, different Earth, different time, etc. How did that all work for you?
It's surprising well in that it kind of felt like it didn't matter. Like it did. It reminded me to the degree that when Sal and I were discussing it, we floated the idea like, is this actually set in the 60s, or is this like a version of now that's more 60s-ish? And I think where we landed on, based on stuff like it looks like the Fantastic Four are the ones that did the moon landing. It probably is set in the 60s, but there is a sense of like anytime, retro future, it kind of doesn't matter. Kind of like Batman the Animated Series, where it's like, it's in the past, but also it's nowish. Also, just don't think about it. It doesn't matter. And I was like, that's fine. I'm fine with that. It just worked for me. Like, would I rather? Am I still like kind of concerned about all the hurdles now that we're gonna have to merge universe? It's the same thing with Supergirl, when they were like, Supergirl's is now on CW, but is on another Earth, and it's like, why? It's just, and so
that was a weird choice.
Yeah, and so there's still a lingering like, all the hoops, and is that going to inform those characters moving forward that they're from another Earth? Mm-hmm. Who knows? But for this movie, I didn't really think about it. So props to the movie, good job, movie. And I was just kind of along for the ride. Yeah.
During it, I wasn't thinking about it, but afterwards, somebody made a comment to me that made me be like, I don't understand. They're like, yeah, something, because of course in the 60s in this movie, they don't have cell phones. And I'm like, but they do have teleportation power.
And that's
okay.
That, and and I think this is why part of the reason, other than I am a Superman guy, I do think some of the stuff in Superman's a bit tighter to the where it's like, let's move the planet. Actually, let's just move the guy. I'm like, yeah, why didn't you start with that one? And then it kind of becomes like, yeah, instead of a big sciencey thing, we just need to push the guy into the big space beam. I'm like, okay. And it's not bad. None of it's bad. I'm just saying, if you're forcing me to choose, I'm picking Superman.
That's interesting, because I'm also picking Superman, but I felt like Fantastic Four had a tighter script than Superman did. Superman just made more choices that I liked.
Yeah, that is very true. And I think there was a comment, I don't think I have it here, but there was a comment that pointed out like, that some of the scene transitions in Superman were like abrupt, like cut to a black screen. And you and I know, and this shouldn't impact our view of the movie, but we know it used to be structured as days of the week.
Right.
And that's why it's that. Fantastic Four doesn't have any of that stuff. And I think maybe part of it is not only am I a Superman guy, but also I think Fantastic Four or Superman has a little bit more fun with like, here's Superman fighting a giant monster. Here's Superman fighting these guys. Here's Superman doing this Superman thing. Whereas Fantastic Four, it's like we get a brief montage, and then the whole Galactus sequence and the space sequence is great. And then we get the end. It's like, I would have liked in that montage, you tease them fighting Red Ghost and his super apes. Show that scene.
Yeah.
Let's do that. Let me see. Let's have more of the fun stuff. And again, it makes it sound like, oh, boo. I really liked it. I thought I really did like it. And I'm excited. I'm excited to see those characters in Doomsday and then bounce off other people. Yeah.
I'm so glad you liked it, DJ. And as we transition into more like numbers and kind of what this means, I do think it is so cool that you and I have been doing this together for almost 10 years, talking about superhero content. And in July of 2025, we got a Superman movie and a Fantastic Four movie, and we liked them both.
Both good.
And that's like just wild times. I mean, there was so many years in which we didn't have a single movie that we liked, or there was 15 movies and it was like, oh my God, what is going on? Or 45 TV shows that we were talking about. And it's really cool that in the summer of this year, these movies came out back to back. And we were really into them. I'm just like very happy about the place that we're hopefully going for both of these franchises.
Very true. Very true. And again, and I can't stress enough, like, Grant, there's like, what, 30 movies in the MCU. So I might be, but it's like, right now, if you asked me, like, I think Fantastic Four probably jumps into at least my top 10 of the MCU I really
I
liked
think
it.
that's fair. Yeah.
Yeah. So Robert Goyette says also it's interesting, and I think this goes to your point, Roxy, about where in 2025 where we're at, and kind of a history of us talking about this. Also, it's interesting. The last time the MCU and the DC universe put out similar projects with similar tones was Batman v Superman and Civil War, and now we have Superman and F4. Seem like a conscious attempt to move away from those tones, and I do think that's an interesting. Obviously, both of those movies have been in production for a long time, but it is hard not to read them as a response to like now, which is also true of because I think if I'm remembering right, Civil War and Batman v Superman was 2016, which is also a good reminder of how long we've been dealing with the bullshit we've been dealing with. But anyway, I'm not going to get into that right now. Yeah, that is an interesting, seemingly conscious attempt at a vibe shift.
Yeah, I'm also trying to remember how we felt, DJ, when those two movies came out. They were the same month? I wouldn't think so, right?
I
Probably
think
months apart.
I think Civil War came out a month or two before BVS.
Huh. It just didn't feel like it feels now, which is kind of like I don't want to say light and breezy because obviously Fantastic Four and Superman are both dealing with like huge, big, bad evils, and
Yeah.
but it feels a lot more hopeful and exciting than Civil War and
Yeah.
BVS.
Definitely BVS.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
it's interesting.
Oh, this comment is in relation to I brought up how, and I think I brought this up on our Superman review, how I think some actors you can get really good actors in certain roles, but like Christopher Reeve will always own Superman. Like as great as David Cornswet is, and he's great. It's just Christopher Reeve still is like the standard. James Kingman 1227. For my money, I don't think there's many actors who own the roles of a character from comics, but there are a few that we can't move past. Christopher Reeve is Superman, RDJ is Iron Man, Hugh Jackman is Wolverine, and that comes down more to longevity of Jackman holding the role, and J.K. Simmons is Jameson. Possibly Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool too. That's not to say that other actors are bad in the roles, but there are certain people you just hear or visualize. It's like nobody can replace Kevin Conroy, even if they are good. I'm always thinking I wish it was Kevin. I'm speaking of Kevin Conroy playing Batman and Batman the Animated Series. I'm going to push back a little bit. He's right about Hugh Jackman's longevity. I think we could get a different Wolverine in there. I think we could.
I too am going to push back a little bit because that's not tested.
Yeah.
You don't know that we can't push back Wolverine or Iron Man because we've never had another one. So
I'm a little worried about. I talk about that. I'm a little worried about Iron Man.
I agree.
If I'm Feige, I'm worried about Iron Man.
I agree that I'm not sure that we can, but I'm not sure that we can't because we haven't tried.
Yeah.
And with Superman, it is tested. We've had
yes, several.
7?
Yeah.
7 live action Superman since.
Yeah. Well, if you're talking about if once you open up TV, once you open up TV, it's like the floodgates are open,
and it's still Christopher, even though there's been other great ones. So that's more tested. But for other characters, I kind of agree about Deadpool also because he's so quirky, and I don't know how many Deadpools we're gonna get over the next 500 years.
Yeah, my big argument with RDJ's Iron Man is unlike most characters, the character of Iron Man changed because of Robert Downey Jr. The way he reads the way they write him in the comics, the way he is an animated series. It's not so much that RDJ captured the character as much the character changed to accommodate him across the board. Yeah. And so that's going to be hard to beat. I also push back a little bit on J.K. Simmons as Jameson, to Roxy's point that we haven't tested it. As great as he is, and he is great, we haven't tested it. We could probably get another Jameson in there. Last one. This is specifically for you, Roxy. I don't remember. This is from, you can also leave comments on Spotify. So this is actually a Spotify comment. This is one of them episodes, Roxy, where you brought up, what is it? Brendan Sklenar?
Sklenar,
yeah. Sklenar as Batman. Nathan Eason says, no, I want Sklenar as Nova. Good choice, though. He's great.
I just think his trajectory is too high right now.
No.
I think he's ready for one of the bigs. He's so good.
He's good. He's a good boy.
He's so good. But I've been hearing a lot of Batman casting rumors. who was the one from this week that like everybody was talking about that I even think James Gunn weighed in on? Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Let me see if I can quickly find it. But it was interesting because I was like, oh, that's funny. I could kind of see that. And I think Gunn said like we'll have to wait and see or something like that, kind of similar to what he said for Audrey Arjona.
Yeah. So while you're finding that, I want to take a moment to shout out our charity of the month. Every month, technically this is August, but where is it going to carry over from July?
Alan Ritchson. That's who people were talking about.
I don't agree with that. I don't see it.
I still think that it's going to be Brandon Sklenar. I do,
Yeah.
but it was interesting how much buzz he was getting that James Gunn felt the need to address the Alan Ritchson thing.
Yeah, they've been bringing that up a lot, and I'm currently watching Reacher season 3, and I think Alan Ritchson is great.
He's so good.
Think he'd be good as Batman personally.
But how do you feel he would be as Aquaman?
He actually, that would be because he played Aquaman in Smallville. That'd be the funniest fucking thing, and he actually would be really good.
I think that would be great.
I also think he'd be a good Booster Gold.
Yeah, he would be an excellent Booster Gold. That's accurate.
Yeah, because I know for a while they were saying Kumail Nanjiani, and I like Kumail Nanjiani a lot.
For Booster?
Not for Booster. And the reason is because I think it misunderstands the bit with Booster. The bit with Booster is Booster reads like a hero, like he shows up and you're like, that's a superhero. And you realize, oh, this guy doesn't know what the fuck he's doing.
Right.
I think with somebody like Kumail, it immediately like, wait, this guy's a superhero? That's the wrong. He'd be better as like a Ted Kord Blue Beetle or something like that.
Casting him has been so like dream casting or fan casting him has been so interesting since he's gotten absolutely annihilated jacked. Because
it wouldn't even be a conversation without Eternals. Without him getting shredded for Eternals, it wouldn't even be like, oh, him for superhero? What are you talking about?
so jacked that actually I feel like he's kind of eliminated some of the casting roles that you kind of would think that his personality type based on his performances would go into.
Yep.
But like you can't cast him as an everyday guy because he's just so. I mean, he's so jacked. It's bigger than Chris Pratt's transformation. It's like the biggest transformation we've ever seen. He is the most ripped person.
Yeah, it's like, can we put you in a sweater or something?
Yeah.
With sweater and glasses? Does that help? Anyway, so our charity of the month is scopela.org. SCOPE stands for Strategic Concepts in Organizing and Policy Education, which builds grassroots power to create social and economic justice for low-income, immigrant, women, femme, black, and brown communities in Los Angeles. One of the reasons I chose this charity is they also have the People's Mutual Aid Fund, which provides groceries, essential items, and cash assistance to families impacted by ICE raids. The links for both of those are in the description. This is specifically targeting LA, which is where I hail from, but ICE raids are going off around all over the country. So I do suggest you look around in orgs in your area that are going to help people in your area. My personal stance is these ICE raids are very bad. I think immigration is an important part of our country. I think most Americans are the product of immigration, and we shouldn't be criminalizing it. And so if you want to help people that are being negatively impacted by these ICE raids, check out scopela.org, the People's Mutual Aid Fund, or look up orgs in your area. All right. So I did pull a few things for news. We're going to skip over most of it for just today, as of this recording just today. They did, I think it's supposed to be like Spider-Man Day or something. I don't know, Roxy. I didn't get a chance to look it up. But Sony posted a little tease of the new Spider-Man suit. I'm going to play that clip for you right now.
BJ, is it fuzzy? Looks like horsehair.
Let's call them in there. What did you make this suit out of?
It either looks wet or it looks like hair.
It's got a little bit of the shine, which we had in at the end of No Way Home. I am glad that it looks like they're downplaying the suit at the end. I know everybody loved the suit at the end of No Way Home. It's a little shiny for my taste. So I'm glad we're downplaying that. We got a little bit of the raised webs, which I'm a big fan of. I'm hoping that this is actually the suit, and the suit is mostly practical, because in the other Spider-Man movies, they just kind of like CG over him. And what's funny is a lot of the scenes he shoots in a practical suit and then they CG over it, which then just makes it look CG. So I kind of like, I like the, whatever it's made out of, I like the tactileness of it. And I like that it feels a little bit closer to like, because this is supposed to be one he's making himself, closer to like a homemade spider suit than the Stark stuff he was running around in.
What's the score?
I don't know. I'm going to assume maybe it's a little bit of a tease it. Well, I mean, we do know that Punisher, John Berthold's
Right.
Punisher, is going to be in this. So,
Right.
and Feige has said, and don't tease me with this, Feige, unless you mean it, that it's going to be more street level. So it would surprise me if it's a little bit darker than the
Yeah.
previous Spideys.
Yeah. I mean, you can't really tell, but I thought that looked cool. It was
Yeah.
the texture was really interesting. I'll be curious to see how that moves.
Yeah, that'll be a good.
You know,
That'll.
DJ, I'm a seamstress from the time that I was like 5 years old. So I
I
love
did not know that.
fabrics. And when I talk about costumes, I don't usually talk about it, but it the looking at that fabric is so different. Again, if that was some kind of a fur or a hair, how it would move and operate in the light is so completely different, and also how it would shape his body. We don't see things like that often. So it also could have been like an adhesive on afterwards that looked a little bit more not shiny as much as like almost looks like oil is on it.
Hmm.
But I'd be so fascinated to actually see this suit in light.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see it in action. We've got a while to wait.
Yeah,
A
yeah, I
little
know. That's
while.
I feel like right now, this is what I was thinking when you first said this, and I wasn't gonna say it out loud, but now I'm going to, DJ.
Hmm.
I feel like Sony was like, us too.
Yeah.
Like
Remember us? We've got one coming.
Marvel, DC, you guys are the
Mhm.
talk of town right now. Us too. Remember? Look at our suit. But like they didn't have anything fully ready, so they were just like, quick, put 7 notes together and
Yeah.
just
Yes.
show it a little bit, a little bit.
Yeah. Dude, make it real tight. Make a real tight, close shot on it. Um, speaking of that, speaking of Me Too, Roxy,
Speaking of Me Too,
the did anything like big? Like I was at Comic Con. I
no,
don't know if there's any like
it was
major news that
crazy.
came out of it.
Crazy, DJ, because I think a lot of people who were home were like ready to report on the news.
Yeah.
And then there was a couple trailers,
Yeah.
some seemingly fun panels, good energy, and no news.
Yeah.
There was quite literally no news. In the world of television, there was the Vince Gilligan show, which had already been announced, but we
Hmm.
got a little bit more of that. There was a couple of non-comic book franchise movie announcements, which really were not announcements. They were panels with teasers.
Yeah.
And that was it. How did it feel being there?
It felt good. The vibes were good. I'm at a point now where like being on the floor is just exhausting. Like about like 10 minutes on the floor, I'm like, well, time for a nap. I'm tired. um,
Did you
but
make any purchases?
no, not really. There wasn't anything that really spoke to me. It was a bummer too, because like Artist Alley is now just like a strip. It really is like an alley. And that's where I was planning on spending most of my time. I'm going to be honest with you. It was cool being there. I was mostly just there to catch up. I have some friends that live in San Diego. I have some friends that were coming in and out of town. So I was just like saying hey to people. And then I bounced. I was like, hey, I'm getting out of here. I did get to do some fun stuff. If you guys want to hear my thoughts on the Toxic Avenger, I was able to go to a screening of that. I'll probably bring that up and what we're into. Check that out over patreon.com/onlystupid but yeah, it was interesting. And I don't know if it's just one of those like this isn't my first rodeo. So getting out there was like, yeah, Comic-Con. Yeah. There wasn't really, talk about no news. There wasn't any like there was a little bit of an activation on the floor for Fantastic Four stuff. Although I was surprised last year they did a screening, like a Hall H screening of Deadpool and Wolverine, and they didn't do that for Fantastic Four this
I was
year.
shocked about that, DJ. It felt like a no-brainer. It's the same
No.
weekend, but
No.
okay.
And was last year the big Doctor Doomsday announcement? Was that
Yeah.
all last year? Oh wow. That feels like a lifetime ago at this point. Yeah, it was just like, yeah, Comic-Con. But you're right, the vibes were good. People were happy to be there. People were exciting. I wonder if, and this is going to, play into our conversation a little bit. I wonder if things are, for lack of a better word, settling down. You know what I mean? Like there was a huge, like a superhero gold rush, and now maybe it's going to settle down a little bit.
It's just weird to be settling down in a year in which we got a Captain America movie, a Thunderbolts movie, a Superman movie, and a Fantastic Four movie, and 2 of those were in the month of Comic-Con. So
Yeah.
the settling down part is kind of like, huh.
Well, for that, I wonder if it's more that you both Marvel and DC want to save their announcements for their own
But DC fandom
events.
doesn't seem to even be taking place anymore.
Yeah, you're right about that. And what's the equivalent? Is it one of those like investor calls that they do? It's like that's
Like the
stupid. Don't do
upfronts or
that.
something.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know. I think for DC, absolutely, like with D23, it makes the most sense for them to give all of their stuff to their own event.
Mm-hmm.
Although, I know that this might be the new normal because of financial reasons and return ROI, but to me, it would be really nice to have one big announcement at Comic-Con every year. That would be cool. And I was talking on Christian Harloff's show a little bit about this, but like I kind of feel like, and maybe this wouldn't have been the cost benefit analysis wouldn't have worked for this, but I kind of feel like we should have had David Cornsweet and Rachel Brosnahan at Comic-Con this year. Like,
Yeah, because they did a panel for Peacemaker. Yeah, why not even just do a Superman panel?
right. Like I know it already came out, but you're getting people hyped about the future of DC and like everybody loved them.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it would have been about $20,000 to have them there for 24 hours, but so like
Yeah.
this is the future of the franchise, and I feel like because there were no other huge panels, that might have been the biggest panel at Comic-Con.
Yeah, because you have them, and then you bring out Millie Alcock as the Supergirl, new Supergirl, maybe Momoa as Lobo.
Nicholas Hoult, if he's there, like
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what the decision making in that. I do understand maybe the idea of like don't come every year because you want to build anticipation. But it's interesting that like Marvel was already not coming. Yeah, I wonder what the thought process in that goes into. I wonder if they'll do something next year, and I wonder if when Supergirl comes out, if it'll be before or after.
oh yeah, when is Supergirl? It's summer of next year, right?
Yeah.
Let me look.
6 release date. This is what the kids pay for. June 26th. Yeah, so they'll be in another position where their big movie came out before Comic-Con. Yeah, do a little tease. You already got some Supergirl footage. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Share that stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. Just to me, it's a little bit lackluster, but they probably crunched the numbers and decided this is not worth it to us. But then I want to know that you're doing a DC fandom. Like,
Yeah.
what is DC's marketing plan? Because I'm excited about your guys' movie plan, but I, of course, am excited about your movie plan. I hosted DC Movie News forever. Like,
Yes.
The fact that this movie didn't do gangbusters in the in the box office, it did well. I'm not saying it didn't. We'll talk more about that, but it means that you need to reach more of the casuals. And I'm not saying Comic-Con is the place to reach more of the casuals, but DC fandom, a digital event, buzz, conversation, hitting the streets, like we got to reach the masses.
Yep. I agree. Speaking of that, let's talk a little bit about Superman versus Fantastic Four. We don't normally dive into the box office on this one, but I do on the show. But I do think there's some interesting things here to think about because I'm actually genuinely surprised at how many parallels there are between Superman and Fantastic Four. Both are bringing in Silver Age vibes. Superman is more directly a reboot, but Fantastic Four is set on its own universe. It's kind of like you could argue it's a first salvo into the next generation of the MCU. And it's interesting to see how they did. So on Superman, right now, as of this recording on Rotten Tomatoes, it has an 83% tomato score and an audience score of 91%. Its opening weekend at the box office. This is opening domestic, by the way. This is from Box Office Mojo. This is the opening domestic box office. Was $125,000. As of right now, as of this recording, it just surpassed. Did I say 125,000? 125 million. Sorry.
I knew what you meant.
Yeah. That would be bad. If it's 125,000, oops. Anyway, 125 million, excuse me. As of right now, it just surpassed Man of Steel, unless you adjust for inflation. We'll get into that. So this information comes from a Forbes article. Superman has now grossed more than Man of Steel at the domestic box office. Man of Steel earned $291 million domestically. back in 2013. And as of today, I believe this article was 2 days ago, as of this recording, Superman has passed that total. The article goes on to note inflation has been bad over the last decade. So 291 million back in 2013 would equal 407 million today. So that's a sign of like, okay, so Superman, if you adjust for inflation, isn't quite doing as well as Man of Steel. Also, that's fucking insane.
Yeah,
That's a little over a decade.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Scary. So what is the total number for Superman box office internationally as of today?
As of this recording, it is 514 million once you round up. So it's like 513, 790, you know what I mean? So it's 514 million. Mm-hmm. People have noted that Superman is drawing poor international numbers. Yeah. And so this Forbes article has a comparison. And I don't know about you, Roxy. Sorry for everybody at home. Once you start throwing these numbers at me, my eyes start to glaze over. Like, this is why we don't normally talk about box office. But I'm just going to read the Forbes article and we'll all go on this journey together. Joining that, so talking about Man of Steel, joining that 291 million was 379 million for a total of 670 million, with international receipts being 56% of the total for Man of Steel. That's Man of Steel.
What was that number? 600?
670.
Was the total for Man of Steel?
It was total the entire run of Man of Steel. And yeah. Superman's only been in theaters a couple weeks, so you know there's still some legs there.
Well, this weekend would be the fourth weekend, right?
You're right. Yes, that's correct. Meanwhile, Superman hitting 500 million, the 500 million mark, includes just 42% international revenue at 214 million. So that was 50. So of Man of Steel's haul, 56% of its haul was international, while only 42% of Superman's is international.
It's almost like people don't like this country as much anymore.
Well, James Gunn mentioned, and apparently this article notes he was getting heat for it, but he stated it also affects things that we have a certain amount of anti-American sentiment around the world right now. It isn't really helping us. And I think the article mentions like he's getting pushback for that, but also it does make sense. And I'm like, I agree. It does make sense.
Yeah, but I will also say that I was kind of surprised with how American Fantastic Four was as well. So, you know, they both had big America themes.
Yeah.
But maybe you don't think of it going into Fantastic Four as much because Fantastic Four is doing better internationally, I believe, but you'll get there.
Yeah. So that said, and this is finishing off the Forbes article, that said, Superman has been way better received than Man of Steel by both critics and audiences. And we also have to consider the era we're in. Superhero box office has generally declined declined past an era closer to 2018, 2019, when you had mediocre movies like Aquaman and Captain Marvel even putting up billion-dollar hauls. Years back, I think this
Captain Marvel?
Yeah.
Put up $1 billion?
Yes.
Are you being serious?
Yeah.
Ain't nobody tell them nothing. That's amazing.
Yeah. But I do think that's, and I like Aquaman. I'm throwing around mediocre a little bit, but I do think the point is sound in that we are no longer in the 2018, 2019 era, because I think they're right. I think if this Superman had come out at the height, we could argue maybe now that was the height of the superhero craze, it would have done a lot better. And I think it's something we're going to get into the Fantastic Four numbers too, which is also a movie that's being very well received, not quite putting up the numbers that these movies used to. And I think that might just be a sign that, you know, superheroes movies aren't necessarily a slam dunk $1 billion.
I just looked up the Captain Marvel box office because you have me absolutely floored. I can't believe I did not know that statistic. And it made 1.1 billion. Mm-hmm. I like that movie, but
yeah,
that is flooring. Like if somebody said to you when you were a kid, one day you will grow up and within 6 years of each other, a Captain Marvel movie and a Superman movie will come out and Superman will make half the amount of money as Captain Marvel.
You'd be like, no.
That's
crazy talk. Yeah. That's an insane. You're an insane person.
You're an insane person. That is really crazy. Wow, the goodwill that the MCU had at that point, that is really, truly wild. Yeah. I do think that DJ, there are less movies in general making $1 billion now, not just superhero movies. There are less movies. We've had one movie this year that's done it, and we're 8 months into the year.
Which one was that? Was that Lilo and Stitch?
Yes, Lilo and
Yeah.
Stitch. Because I don't think Minecraft hit it. I think that they were close, but I don't think that they hit it. I think Lilo and Stitch is the only billion-dollar movie maker of this year. Somebody can fact check me on that, but I believe we've just had one. And typically at this point in the year, we've had a couple, a few. So it is harder in general. It's not just superhero fatigue or superhero whatever it is, that special sauce. It's the movies are less popular to go to right now. Number one, post-pandemic.
Yeah.
Number two, because of the fact that everyone is broke.
Yeah.
And number three, internationally, as James Gunn mentioned, we aren't well liked. And I think that there's probably 4, 5, 6, and 7 as well. But those are some of the reasons. And as technology gets better at home and the release windows get shorter of when you can watch a movie at your place, it's less enticing to go, unfortunately.
And I also think I feel like there's also been a push with, as those box office increased internationally. I think a lot of international markets realize like, well, we can make our own. We can make RRR. We can make our own blockbusters. Like we don't necessarily need to rely on Hollywood for that. And so I think you're right, Roxy. I think for a variety of reasons, and I think there's been rumblings about this kind of stuff in I think a lot of industries like video games, like they're used to backing up truckloads of money, into their projects, but it's becoming harder and harder for your blockbuster game to like reach the heights that they need to, and so it's like maybe we just need to spend a little less money. Maybe I liked Superman a lot. Maybe 250 million was too big a budget. Maybe.
But the problem is when people start cutting the budgets, where they cut it from.
Yeah.
The people that are working on the movies that are like already putting in insane editing hours. Like they don't put the budgets in the right places.
Yeah.
Like there needs to be rules and regulations around what you're allowed to cut and what you're not.
No, Roxy, no rules, no regulations ever for anything.
Can you hit me with the Fantastic Four numbers?
Yes, here we go. Buckle in, everybody. So on Rotten Tomatoes, and I use the Rotten Tomatoes as a gauge of like how they're being received. Rotten Tomatoes, Fantastic Four First Steps has an 86% with an audience score of 92%. So 1 percentage point higher. No, a little bit higher on 3 on the tomato score, 1% higher on audience score than Superman.
So very comparable.
Yes. Its opening domestic was 117 million. So almost 10 million less than Superman. As of this recording, according to Box Office Mojo, it's domestic worldwide. Worldwide, it has 250 million in the bank. This is a different Forbes article also commenting on Fantastic Four. Ticket sales for the Fantastic Four First Steps are projected to drop more than Superman's ticket sales in the second week. So that's the one as we're recording that we're entering, Fantastic Four second week. But the Marvel superhero film will easily defeat its new competitors at the box office. Speaking of Naked Gun, and then I think there's an animated movie called, I think it's The Bad Guys 2. FF opened at number 1 the weekend of July 25th through 27th with 117.6 million, take at the box office. To date, the film has earned 142 million. So it is also, it's pretty comparable to Superman.
That sounds like internationally it made significantly more than Superman did in its opening weekend, no?
I don't have the international numbers for Superman, just for the opening weekend. I have the international numbers overall for both, but not for the opening weekend. And 91 internationally. As of right now, it's earned 99 million internationally, which if I wanted to, I could probably do the math of what percentage.
Fantastic Four has?
Yeah. Okay. No, actually, right here. Thank you, Box Office. I have the percentage. So. For Superman, 42% of its sales are international. For Fantastic Four, 40% of its sales are international. So it is also struggling internationally, percentage-wise.
But it made 90 its open weekend internationally.
In the past week.
And I believe Superman made like 15 or something.
Oh, I don't know. Superman right now is 214 million.
Oh. Okay.
and
That's
so
very
and
different
Fantastic
than
Four.
what I thought.
Yeah.
Okay.
Again, this is according to Box Office Mojo. Now, it is important to, I think, another data point is to compare it to Thunderbolts, which is a movie that was liked, and it's before Fantastic Four was the most recent Marvel movie, and that's pretty much done its run. Its worldwide gross was 382 million, so not that great. That was because it's on Disney Plus now. Not not that
So
good.
it sounds to me like Fantastic Four and Superman are both on track to at least make their money back and not be flops.
Yes.
However, when we were talking about box office 1 year ago about these movies, I thought Superman would outperform Fantastic Four, which it seems like it might not do.
Hmm.
Um, honestly, probably won't do, depending on the legs. And B, I thought that Superman would make $1 billion.
No.
As we got closer to it, I kept lowering my mark as things were being projected. But
Yeah.
when the weekend Superman came out, I said, this is definitely, I took the over under bet that this would hit 600 mil.
Hmm.
Um, and I wonder if we're going to get there.
Maybe. I think I don't have this in front of me. I know some people were talking that it seems comparable to the Batman. Although no, I think the Batman's ahead of it. I don't think the Batman didn't hit a billion. Yeah, I think we
But
might be.
600, I mean, I really thought that it would.
Yeah, I think we might be out of the era of superhero movies making $1 billion,
But do
which
you
is
really think so? Like Doomsday, you don't think is going to make $1 billion?
I think there's a good chance Doomsday is not going to do is only not going to do well within the context of how much money they're spending on it.
But do you think it could hit $1 billion?
I guess maybe, but like I mean, it depends on how much that RDJ pull. So the Batman made 772 million worldwide. That was 3 years ago. Leonard Kim, this isn't a bad thing to point out. It has something special like Deadpool and Wolverine. And I want to say,
Did
I mean,
Deadpool and Wolverine make $1 billion?
let's see.
I feel like, do you think that there's a possibility, DJ, that Supergirl
Yes.
performs better than Superman?
No.
You said yes, and you said no.
I said yes in that Deadpool and Wolverine made a billion.
Wow.
1 billion, 1.3 billion.
Wow.
So
And that was a year ago?
yeah. So especially since Deadpool and or Wolverine will probably show up in Secret Wars at least. That's not nothing, and we'll probably get at least a couple Spider-Men in there. So that's not nothing. I think they're spending so much money on Doomsday and Secret Wars. I think that is probably going to be where the fever breaks for a lot of this stuff, where it's like, yeah, it did great, but considering the money we spent on it, we actually didn't make money on it. We're going to have to be more conservative about how we make stuff. But to answer your question with Supergirl, no, I don't think Supergirl will. I think for a variety of reasons, I don't think Supergirl is as popular as Superman. I don't think, and I do think they do run the risk, at least domestically, where a lot of the people that will know and recognize Supergirl will know and recognize a different Supergirl. It looks like the Millie Alcock Supergirl is very different than the Melissa Benoist one, which I think is fine. But if you liked the Melissa Benoist one, you might be a little bit peeved at this interpretation of the character.
Do you think that if Superman had been PG, it would have done better?
No. Do they even release PG movies anymore? I think
think so.
PG-13's. I think PG-13's the sweet spot. I think that's
I just
especially
had
for
a
these
lot
types
of
movies.
friends who texted me more than ever before asking
Yeah.
if they could take their kids to this.
Yeah.
And less about the actual rating and more about the fact that a lot of them were too young to go. Do you think if this movie was okay for 5-year-olds to go to, it would have performed better?
No, because I think that might have turned off people that PG. Is this a kids movie? I think that would have turned off people. I think for superhero movies, PG-13 is the sweet spot, which you see with like stuff where you'll see violence in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. You're like, this movie should be R, but we labeled it PG-13 because that's the sweet spot. That's how we get them butts in the seats.
You feel like Multiverse of Madness was an R-rated movie?
We saw a guy blow up his own head. I think that was a good example of like, okay, so the ratings are bullshit. The rating system's bullshit. It's all like, it's more vibes based than like anything that actually happens in them. Let's go to some of our Discord questions. Clementine asks, how much of Fantastic Four's style and quality do you attribute to the director, Matt Shakman, and how much to Marvel Studios' creative? Is this an instance of letting the director off the leash, or was Feige's team really on the ball with this one and Shakman executed the studio's vision with precision? I know the film is a collaborative project, so obviously it's a combination, but I guess what I'm asking is was F4 an example of the Marvel machine operating as it was intended, or did they loosen their grip and let the director dictate the process? And that's why it came out so singular amongst the rest of the MCU.
I like the question despite me having absolutely no ability to answer it.
Yeah. I'm going to say, considering Matt Shakman was one of their TV hires, he came from the TV show, and also, is it that singular amongst the rest of the MCU? Is it?
Is it what?
Is it that singular? I don't know if I would say Fantastic Four is that singular.
I guess I'm not understanding what that would mean in this context.
That's so unique and so different than the rest of them. It feels like an MCU movie to me.
What do they mean by that? Just like the way that it's starting new?
I think in the way, like the tone, the style, the writing, it feels like, obviously the setting is not what we're used to, but it feels like a Marvel movie to me. I would say that's Fantastic Four is probably very much, it's Fantastic Four. They really needed to nail it. I'm going to assume they weren't like, Matt Shakman, do whatever, bro. I'm going to say it was probably very much, and right now I'm reading the book MCU that's kind of about the era, the Marvel era of them, the Infinity Saga and all that. And how they basically recreated the studio system from back in the day. I'm going to say it's the Marvel studio system working as intended. That's going to be my where I plant my flag.
I think it's probably a little bit of A, a little bit of B. They already had worked with him. He knew how to work within the system. I think that he definitely put his stamp on this, but for sure was like, and sometimes creators do better in a box. Mm-hmm. And I think he was in one.
Put creators in a box. High Priest Mike Joyce says, do you think superhero movies can recover box office wise, or are they just in a downward spiral? This is what we're just talking about, Roxy. So I'm going to throw it back to you. Do you think Doomsday and or Secret Wars will make $1 billion?
I do, because like if we're talking about Deadpool and Wolverine making $1 billion, 1.3 just 1 year ago, I do think that there is possible, and things are getting more expensive, which means that ticket prices are going up. So
true.
That I do think that I don't think we've seen our last $1 billion superhero movie.
Yes, I agree with that.
So
I agree with that. I do think though, yes, and they are becoming, and they will continue to become rarer.
Yes, I agree.
I don't know what the last one will be, but if somebody said to me from the future, like, oh, Secret Wars is going to be the last $1 billion superhero movie, I'm like, okay. Sure. But as you said, as things get more expensive, it'll be like, yes, Secret Wars made $1 billion, but adjusted for inflation, it was only like $50.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So
I saw this episode of Boy Meets World this past week that was like, Corey and Topanga were like, how could we ever afford an $80,000 house? And they were like, well, you have to save up your whole life and all this stuff. And I was just like,
you sons of bitches. You sons of, that's a good show. I like Boy Meets World a
Great
lot. Seth, Forbidden Origins, asks, Doomsday seems poised to be the most expensive film Marvel has produced, and the script isn't even finished. How likely is it to even break, even this is the same question, even let alone turn a profit given Marvel's recent track record? What does it mean to MCU and superhero movies as a whole if it fails? We think it's probably going to make $1 billion. Although, again, they are spending more, I think, than they did on Infinity War and Endgame. So I think here's what I'm going to think. Hector's going to hate this answer. They're going to do Doomsday and Secret Wars. It's going to be a success in the same way that Superman is a success, technically, unless you count inflation and other stuff. And they're going to be like, okay, oh my God, okay. Feige's already talking about this. Relaunch, new Steve Rogers, new Tony Stark, whatever. And then those movies aren't going to do as well as they hope. Just like I don't think the new Harry Potter show is going to do as well as we hope. I think we're entering an era of flailing, of like, here's new Iron Man. Here's new Harry Potter. Why don't you like us anymore? And the answer is do new things. That's the answer. to do new things, and they're not going to like that answer, and they're going to be like, what about AI? And it's like, you're going to have to let it go, bro. You're going to have to do new things. And so I think we're going to be entering in an era of where people like Roxy and I will be confused. Like, hey, we liked Superman. We liked Fantastic Four. Let's say we like Doomsday and Secret Wars. Why are you flipping out? Because it's not making as much as they need it, because everything's exponential growth always, which is not how anything in the universe works. And they're going to freak out about it, and they're going to trip over their own dicks. And in 5 to 10 years, hopefully things will even out.
Negative, it's painful sometimes.
I don't think it's I think it's to think otherwise is to expect.
Okay, Reed Richards.
I'm just saying. I'm not saying it's going to be all bad. I'm just saying they're going to flail because they're going to want every movie to make $1 billion. That's how things work. Leonard Kim, do you think we're in a place in which the box office bar for comic book superhero movies has been lowered? It feels like that we're shooting for $1 billion and seeing how close they could get to that. But maybe now that's 850 million, 800 million, lower. I mean, we're already seeing, and you pointed this out, like Clayface, they're spending less money on it. They're like, hey, that's going to be a mid-budge comparatively.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the bar has ever been $1 billion or bust, but like 750, I feel like for a while, it's like you either hit that or you don't.
Yeah.
Seems like neither of these movies are going to hit that. So maybe the bar is being lowered, but if the bar is lowered, then they're going to have to find ways to make cheaper movies. And if I was finding ways to make cheaper movies, I know what I would cut, but studios finding ways to make cheaper movies means that they're going to be implementing less humans and more AI. So that's not ideal.
Yeah. It's almost like there's this widening gap between a certain wealth class of individual and the rest of us, and it just keeps getting wider, and that's so weird. That's just such a weird, nothing we can do about it, I guess. Anyway, I think the point is, as those numbers go up, it's going to be harder for the properties themselves to make a profit. And this is true in TV shows. This is true of video games. This is true all across entertainment. This is true across our entire economic landscape. And it's becoming, and to Roxy's point, people need to make money to have the money to spend to go see a movie or to buy a video game. And if you keep laying off everybody, who's going to go pay for your product? You know? Anyway, this is an economics podcast, but we were talking about box office. Gosh, dang it. That's it for us. Let us know in the comments what you thought about Superman, what you thought about Fantastic Four, what you think about the future of superhero movies. Do you think Doomsday and Secret Wars are going to pass $1 billion? Roxy, where can the kids find what you're working on?
You guys can find me everywhere at Roxy Stryer.
You can find me at DJ Talks Trash. Please check out my personal channel and check out scopela.org. And Danger Boy, I got last colors. We just did the last pass on the letters. The pre-order store is going to be closing within days of you listening to this. So go to dangerboycomic.com and pre-order a copy if you haven't already. And we'll see you all next time.